Okay, we're out of the Hunger Games, where each one of us, or most of us anyway, were at a different screening.
Yeah.
We're in a different theater. I was at the 12:15. Jillian and Brian were at the 12:01.
Oh,
and Nick was at 12:05.
12:05.
All of them fucking packed. So, well, the reason why Jillian and I were at two different theaters is because in reality we really hate each other. No. I bought a couple of tickets like
some truth in joking.
I bought a ticket like a month or so ago, and for some reason I thought I had bought two. So when I went to go get another one, like the 12:01 had already sold out. So I was like, well, here, honey, here's 12:15, and just so she wouldn't have to sit. And Brian, you had 12:01,
yeah.
And just so she wouldn't have to sit by herself, I was like, I'll take the 12:15. I have no problem being in like a giant crowd. I had to sit next to like fucking Broseph McCologne. Good God.
Hey,
Why are you stealing my
fucking knock me, you
nickname?
son of a bitch! Don't you knock the bros, you bastard!
I have to ask this, in any of you guys' theaters, did employees come out and do trivia?
Yes.
They did.
They did on yours?
I missed it.
You missed it?
I missed it, but I got text. I was reading Facebook on my phone before the movie started, and I had friends of mine just like, they just ruined the whole movie. I haven't read the book.
They did spoilers. They did spoilers in their trivia.
I will say this, I'm pretty sure for some of those girls, that's the first time they've ever been wet.
Dude, like, the employee comes out and is like, now I just want to let you know, some of these questions have spoilers.
So if you don't want us to say it.
Yeah.
And then they fucking say them.
Yeah, I'm like, are you fucking kidding me with this shit? I have never had that happen in a movie. Where they come out and spoil the movie.
They do that kind of stuff with like video game releases, but it won't be, about plot moments of the game. And they've done that before with other like kind of anthology. I think they did something like that with Star Wars, but everybody had already seen it.
It's
so
different when it's a Star Wars movie and it's been out for...
Yeah. Right, but that's what I'm saying. Like, the only time I've ever seen trivia at some kind of main event thing is video games, but it's always about just kind of...
From the ones that I've done here, they did a trivia before the first part of Harry Potter 7, and then they did trivia when they re-released Back to the Future.
But was the Harry Potter 7 trivia about said movie you were about to see, or was it the past movies?
No,
That's
it was
weird.
about to... But everybody in there had read the books, everybody...
See, I never read the Potter books. I would have been pissed.
And I never read the Hunger... You read the Hunger Games.
Yes.
You read,
we'll get into that.
Did you read it?
In a moment.
Yeah, I have it. Well, one thing about this movie that I was sort of... And I thought the previews for it looked interesting. I haven't read the book, but one thing I was kind of worried about was I would go see it, and I would be, like, kind of mad because it would be like an inferior battle royale,
that movie's so awesome. I just saw that today.
A couple of reviews brought that up.
Brought up battle royale.
They're like, it seems like it's like a watered down battle royale.
Well, if you're gonna do that, it's Running Man meets The Lottery.
And there's been a lot of movies like The Running Man. There's been other movies that are like battle royale.
I'm not saying it's not original.
But like. And so usually I don't have a problem with that kind of thing if one thing is like another. But with Battle Royale, we're talking about one of the best movies of that decade, in my opinion at least. So this movie has got to be pretty good.
I remember I was like, how have you not shown this to me already? You're just
Battle
like,
Royale.
I assumed you
saw Battle Royale.
Which I do want to go on record something. It was hilarious in Battle Royale because it's got the guy that plays Light Yagami in Death Note, and he's wearing the outfit that Light would have been wearing in Death Note, but never did in the movie.
Well, this movie, The Hunger Games, I liked it. I liked it. I thought it was pretty good. For the first half of it, I really wasn't thinking anything like Battle Royale. The first half of it, I'm like, this movie's really stylistic. This is like kind of like a modern day, like, 70s sci-fi movie with all the costuming they got going on, the way people look, some of the music and stuff like that. And honestly, it was a really biting satire on reality television. It was a scathing attack on reality television, which I liked.
That live like it's Little House on the Prairie, and then you've got the enclosed city where it's just riches
and this movie is they're trying to build it up, like it's like, oh, it's the next Twilight, blah blah blah.
Who said that? I did not.
They're advertising. Oh, they're advertising.
Speaking of Twilight,
like that.
Did you get Twilight breaking yawn at the?
Yeah, I did. I'll bring up the trailers later. But like
girls.
that's the fact that they're trying to kind of sell this as like the next thing past like the Twilight movies now ending is kind of an insult to this movie.
Well, the only
Absolutely.
reason they're trying to sell it is because it's garnered towards the same audience. It's both of those are considered teen fiction.
Yeah.
And it was similar.
As soon as the preview came up, every single person in the audience was just going
not in
crazy.
ours. I'll get to that in a second, but not in our theater. But yeah, like this movie actually has characters. It actually has really solid performances. There's a lot of heart and soul to this movie. Now, where I started getting kind of annoyed in this was in the second half, when the game actually starts.
Yeah.
When the game actually starts, I'm watching this thing, like, anytime something violent happened,
Saving Private Ryan came in.
I hated it. Well, not even that. In Saving Private Ryan, I could still tell what was going on.
Well, I just meant
in
it was that kind of shaking, but only more severe.
It was, but it was only shaking so it could get a PG-13.
Yeah.
It was. This is a movie where a character gets her head bashed into a wall, and it doesn't show it.
Yeah.
This is a movie where a guy gets ripped apart by dogs, and it doesn't show it.
Well, and the other thing is, too, like,
Absolutely.
the scene, the most gripping scene, the one where Rue ends up dying.
Yeah.
In the book, she is still attached. She's still trapped in the net.
Yeah.
They actually wait for Katniss to come up, and they just stab her
Yeah.
while she's enclosed in the net, just cold-blooded. Whereas this one is like, oh, well, he kind of accidentally. He was aiming, but missed.
and she moves.
But no, in that one, it's just cold blood. They're waiting for her. As soon as they see her, they're just like, blink, and she's dead.
Yeah.
That's what I was expecting. There were so many moments where I'm just like, why are you doing that? You're a survivalist. And when Rue dies, she's like, sing to me, which, you know,
Well,
it's a kid thing. They want to be
That's
sung
actually
to.
part of it. Because that's, I mean, it's an.
Well, no, I'm
supposed to be
I'm not saying that it's away from the book. I haven't read the books, but
Yeah.
I just meant there were so many moments where characters where I was just waiting, and obviously with the main character it wasn't going to happen, but it was just kind of they were zoning out or just something to where it's just like, you know, and like at the end too, where it was just
in the scene, the cornucopia scene.
Yeah.
They lengthen it out where it's not really. She never sees most of that stuff.
Yeah.
She grabs a bag, turns, and just takes off.
Mm-hmm.
So all that stuff that is extemporaneous, I mean, they needed to kind of add it in and say, okay, all these people are dying. The first time she really knows how many is, like, dead is when she's counting them off. That part is...
Yeah.
But she never actually sees just that crazy-ass violence like they showed. And it... I don't
crazy
know.
ass loosely.
Crazy ass shaky violence.
Yeah.
Crazy
Shaky
ass
violence
Michael
to-
J. Fox violence.
Again, yeah, to cover up the fact they want it to be a PG-13. This is a movie that's begging to be an R.
Oh, yeah.
And every time that
It's
happens,
about people killing other people, and it's PG-13.
I'm watching this thing like, wow, now I really am missing Battle Royale when this is happening. Now, where it started working again for me in the battle sequences was a lot of the behind the scenes stuff that was going on with the producers.
Oh,
like
yeah.
I've heard some criticisms about that movie where they say that the love story seems forced.
Oh,
well,
no.
that's kind of the point.
Yeah.
Because
It is.
they are forced to act
They
to
act it
do
out.
that so they can get ratings in this reality show. They are forcing these two together to spark something like that, and that honestly really worked for me.
Well, I
Oh,
mean,
yeah, it
like,
worked for
you
me
know,
as well.
forcing the
Yeah, yeah.
aspect of, oh, why is it here? Because when the characters were interacting with each other, it didn't seem as though they didn't connect, is what I meant. Like,
no,
it
I
really
thought
seemed
they
like there was
connected. I
connection.
thought they connected fine, but I didn't think that it was out of place. I didn't think it was out of place
Right.
because the people behind this series are trying to put these two together.
See, I thought you.
So,
I thought you meant when you said forced that it like didn't.
no,
connect.
I'm saying
Okay.
I'm saying that some of the reviews for this movie have said they would have liked it, but the love story thing was too mushy or something like that. Is kind of a criticism that I've read about it. But that honestly really worked for me as a satire of reality television.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Definitely a satire of reality
Yeah.
television.
Mm-hmm.
And society in general. It was just the first part of that movie was really
The first half of the movie was great. The first half I thought, again, was better than the second half.
Well, even the second half. I mean, if you take out the fact that, you know, did kind of ruin it and be like, oh god, you're shaky camming it, you're panning away.
Yeah.
It was still solid because, you know, seeing everything that we've seen, you know what's there and you're just pissed that they aren't showing it. But it still didn't.
It took the brutality out of it.
It did, but at the same time, the story was still strong. Like, whoop,
Yeah.
there you go again. It's
There
not
we
even
go.
summer. There we go.
It took the
I changed that
brutality
one
out of
away.
this thing. You have people hacking away at each other with machetes.
Oh,
And-
that's what I meant though. But like from the character's point of view, though, like
Yeah.
you didn't get that it was any less serious for the characters, if that makes any sense. Like, it didn't take... When the story was going on, outside of the killings, it didn't take away from that. Versus, it was just the killing parts. Where
well,
it's
a genuinely well acted movie.
It is.
It's a really well acted film.
I was like all the adult characters. That was one thing I said. It seemed like the director was like, "Okay, I want you to just be as balls to the wall eccentric as you possibly
Tucci.
can."
Worked, though.
And it's
It
so
worked.
incredibly great.
Yeah.
Like
Woody Harrelson is probably the best character in the movie. Woody Harrelson is a drunk, like, former contestant, stuff like that. It was amazing. Elizabeth Banks was having the time of her life in this movie. Like, she was fantastic. And Stanley Tucci is great. You know, this is a truly wicked satire of reality TV. And there was one sort of like this that tried doing the same thing. It was a movie called Series 7 that was made.
The Contenders.
The Contenders.
Yes.
Remember that?
Yes,
Well, I like
do.
this. I actually like this a lot better.
Because they played that as a like as an actual TV cam where they followed the contestants around. Where this is reality TV or a television program within
in the future.
You know, and it's also a thing. They're forced to watch this. Nobody wants to actually watch their children be murdered or anything. But they're being forced to watch this.
Oh, like, and then when the riot came out after Will died, it was like I assume that's her dad.
And it sets itself up for the later books in the series where it goes on, which obviously after this, based on the turnout,
there will be another one.
There will be 2 and 3.
Wouldn't it be something if this was the only packed houses like in the country, and this movie like only makes like $5 million?
Lying.
Oh my god.
That would be pretty sad. I thought this was pretty good.
Yeah, it'd be like I could have swore our theaters were really crowded.
Oh yeah.
I want more stuff with
Things
Jennifer
that were-
Lawrence.
She was great.
I mean,
Jennifer Lawrence was awesome.
because I think the only other thing I've seen
X-Men, right?
was that First Class.
Yeah.
She was great in that.
Yeah.
She was in a movie that was nominated for an Academy Award.
Descendants.
Winter's Bone.
Winter's
Was she
Bone,
in that?
that's it.
Yeah.
Which she was really good in, but I didn't care for that film too much.
I just knew she was in. I haven't seen the
but
movie.
she did really well in that film, and so I was expecting that she would do well in this.
She was great in it.
Yeah.
They all were, honestly. I mean, some of the other contestants in it seem to be kind of evil for the sake of being evil.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
the part where the girl has the knife up against Jennifer Lawrence's
You know what
throat
though?
was-
Isn't that
was
from
like-
the district where they are just trained
That's
killers
trained
though?
killers.
Yeah.
Oh,
There was
okay,
that
all
district
right.
they were
And that's
explaining that they
actually-
were just trained as killers.
Oh, well,
for
that
the-
makes
that's
that makes
actually
sense.
from
then.
the book.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Then.
They
Okay.
actually are.
Okay, I just missed that.
And it's not. I will say they're not as over the top evil in the book. It's more that's just what they're trained to do. They're trained to bring glory.
Yeah.
They're.
But I mean,
they
a lot of
are a little sadistic.
I mean, I
Trained.
can even buy it, like a lot of the douchiness, like because it is supposed to be a reality show, and